Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, you know what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going over the major, talking about some storylines in the CDL first as it pertains to the 8th seed. The race maybe heated up even more than we thought it would, with maybe some more teams on the verge of potentially not making champs based on the way things shook out this weekend. So we're going to jump into that first and then talk about, some CDL viewership from the weekend and jump into just reactions to a bunch of the matches from the tournament and how teams are looking heading into Major 5. And then at the end, we're going to wrap it up with a quick tier ranking of where we have the teams. Nothing crazy, just a quick, here's where Brock has everybody S through F tier, and here's where I have everybody kind of heading into Major 5 and the final stage where we'll see all 12 of our teams playing. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. If you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. The support in the last podcast, both on the audio platforms and on YouTube, was pretty insane. You guys really hit it out the park, and a lot of viewership, a lot of comments, a lot of new subs, and we're getting closer and closer to the 1K goal. So we'd appreciate it if you guys would drop a sub on YouTube if you're listening. And let's jump into this. Brock, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good on Monday. A banger of a tournament, especially the finals, I would say. Two of the top brands in the CDL right now. And just one thing was no fans. That's about it.
Yeah, we'll jump into that when we talk about the tournament, how we feel about that. And I may have smoked you on predictions in the stage matches, but I didn't actually ask you how many points you got, but your bracket had to have beat mine because you picked the correct final and winner. So even if I had more points than you in my bracket, you automatically get the win because you predicted the correct final and winner. So that's an automatic win, even if I somehow got more points than you.
Yeah, I looked at my bracket. I was 39 points for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got like 16 because I had Surge in the final against OpTic, which killed it. I had Vegas winning in the first round. I think I had Thieves finishing like third. So like not terrible, but yeah, I mean, I knew you would have crushed me because you had the correct winner. So that's got to be worth a lot of points.
Yeah.
And your map count was almost right. Did you pick a 4-3 Thieves in the final?
Yeah, I picked 4-3. Oh, we were so close.
It definitely could have gone to a map 7, although that was OpTics, best search and destroy map. But Thieves had beat them on it pretty handily in the winners final, like 6-2 or 6-3. They beat them on Fortress. So it would have been an interesting map 7 to see what would have happened.
Yeah, that would have been so litty for map 7.
Speaking of that, let's flip around the news that we had written down here. Since we're talking about the grand finals, does the grand finals structure need a change? I'm not talking like, obviously both of us think it should be 2 best of 5s or even a best of 9. So that's kind of a given. Like putting that aside, like I'm assuming you want it to be 2 best of 5s as your number one option, right?
Yeah.
Obviously that for those of you that haven't ever seen that format, that would be the team from winners bracket only has to win 1 best of 5. The team from losers has to win 2. So if the team from losers wins the first best of 5, it goes to another best of 5, where then the winner of that one is the winner of the tournament. So that's like what Call of Duty always had before the CDL. Best of 9 is also a better option than best of 7 because, it's just a little bit bigger sample size. You only have to win 4 games, 1 extra game over a normal series in order to win the tournament now, where, in a grand final, we want to see our 2 best teams duke it out for as long as possible. But I'm talking currently for best of 7. Could it be optimized? I know I have an opinion. I think you might agree with me, but I'm not sure. I don't like how we have 2 hard points and 2 controls. 3 search and destroy is perfect. I'm good with it. I think we should have 3 search, 3 hard point, 1 control.
Yeah, I definitely agree because there's only 1 control in the normal series.
Yeah,
best of 5. So it's like control's heavy, like favored more than a hard point basically now.
Like in general, to get to a final, let's say every series goes 5 maps. 40% of the series is hardpoint, 40% of it is search, and only 20% of it is control. But then all of a sudden you get to the grand final and it's control and hardpoint are weighted the same because there's 2 of each and 3 search and destroy. I'm okay with it being 3 searches because that's obviously a very important game mode always. And hardpoint is more important than control because there are 2 hardpoints in a series and only 1 control in a series. So hardpoint just inherently is more important than control. Like if you're a really good hardpoint team, you're probably going to have more success than being a really good control team because that's only 1 of the game modes, whereas hardpoint can be 2 in every series. So I think the way that the series should shake out is it should be hardpoint, search, control, hardpoint, search, just like a normal best of 5 to start out. And then I think map 6 should be a hard point, and then map 7 should be a search again. Because no matter what, the last map of a series always has to be a search.
Yeah.
That's just like the given. Like the last map, whether it's map 9, map 7, map 5, it always has to be a search. That's just like how Call of Duty has always been. And I would not want a series, even though Hardpoint is probably still the best game mode to watch. I would not want a series to go final map and have it be anything besides search or destroy ever.
Yeah, search and destroy is like so nerve-wracking for players, and Hardpoint wouldn't be as much.
It's where you can have the most breakdowns and clutch moments, and like players that are just icy players can step up the most. And like, not saying search should always be the last map of a series. Like if it goes 4, Hardpoint's the 4th map, yeah, it should end on Hardpoint. But like if it goes to a final map where it's tied 3-3 or whatever the series is, it always should be a search. But I believe that we should make map 6 a Hardpoint, not Control.
Yeah, agree.
I think most of the community would be on board with that too. I bet you at least 80+% of the community would say, yeah, let's do that, because Control is just not as fun to watch.
It hasn't been that fun to watch since Black Ops 4, the Specialist.
Yeah. Like, as much as the Grand Final series haven't been terrible, they have all basically gone 6. I don't want to watch another one end on a solo Control. I was just praying OpTic forced to map 7 because I wasn't that invested. I like both teams. I like OpTic and Thieves. I was like, hey, whoever wins. I just want a good finals, what I was saying going into it. And I just wanted a map 7. I wanted to see that map 7. It gets down to just 4-4. Like, who's going to clutch up? I don't want it to end on Control. It's just like the least exciting game mode for it to end on. Like Hardpoint, if you have a crazy like 245 down to the last minute, it can be really exciting. But like Control ends where it's like, oh, they got a 4 wipe. They're going to stack. It's kind of like, it's not as exciting.
Yeah, especially on a solo on the B point. You get 1-4 down dead. Yeah, you lose the game.
Because then Thieves had offense, right? And then like Hook was flanking, and then like they killed them. Yeah. In the final round, like that's just not as exciting. Like they got that final kill, they knew they were gonna win. It's not like there's not an intense moment. I don't know. It's not as fun. So they got to change that.
Yeah.
Jumping into viewership from the weekend, a positive note. Viewership was fantastic. I mean, I saw this chart from I believe it's from Jacob Hale. He posted a thing of the average CDL major viewership from 2022 to 2023 in thousands per event. So basically, like for Major 1 in Vanguard, the average viewership was about 70,000, which, not terrible. But then the average viewership for Major 1 in MW2 was about 112,000. So about 60.5% increase. Then in Major 2 in Vanguard, it was about 56,000 average viewers. Major 2 for this year was 153,000, about 174% increase. Here's where we get the big number. Major 3 was Toronto in Vanguard. It had about 45,000 average viewers, whereas this year's Major 3 had 176,000 average viewers.
Jesus.
And then Major 4 in Vanguard had about 60,000 average viewers, and this year, this recent event in Columbus had about 153,000, again, basically the same as Major 2. Another 150% increase. And Major 3, if I didn't say that, was a 292% increase from viewership last year at Major 3. So like roughly the same times of year. Viewership is just way higher. I think there's a lot of factors starting the year earlier, keep interest in the game longer. I think both of us will say it's not like MW2 is a significant upgrade in terms of the game quality over Vanguard.
Nope.
I think we both know why the viewership is up. You want to say it?
Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch, watch parties.
Scump.
Yeah, Scump. That's the main reason. And even like, it's pretty crazy to think like Scump wasn't watch partying Major 1 because he was playing.
Yep.
And the average viewership was still 112,000.
That's still pretty dang good.
I mean, 112,000 probably beats most events has ever had for viewership. Obviously, peak viewers is a different thing, but average viewership, 112,000 is very good. Another note is, I think I saw on there for the stats, is the CDL is one of the only esports, or Call of Duty is one of the only esports that's growing in the West. So like in United States, Canada, Mexico, that stuff, like Western Hemisphere. It's one of the only esports that's growing in the West, which is very interesting because, Call of Duty you sometimes think is dying, but it's growing and at a very rapid rate. And like you said, Twitch and watch parties are the reason. Don't take it off Twitch and the watch parties. Like so many people that probably never really watched Scump for his competitive, just always watches pub streams or his Warzone streams when he played. And now they're tuning in because they love Scump. And it's like, wow, this is pretty entertaining. And they get hooked.
Yeah, 100%.
Watch parties got to stay.
Yeah. Also, ever since Scump did retire, which is a shame, but watch party, he's always like averaging more than the actual Call of Duty League stream.
Yeah, it's funny how we were all like, Kyle and I talked about it like when the Scump retirement stuff like was going to happen potentially last year, and it's been rumored for a few years now, and it was like the CDL is going to die. We were so worried, and little did we know the CDL is actually growing since Scump retired because he's. I mean, it was like easy to see. Like, I don't know, maybe we're just idiots and didn't see it coming, but like now instead of Scump only being involved in certain matches, like when OpTic's playing, he's involved in every match because he's watching them, and he is the main attraction. So he is still. We thought he was carrying it on his back when he's playing, but now he's carrying it on his back even more that he's not playing.
Yeah.
With obviously a lot less pressure. It's a lot less pressure to sit down on the couch and watch a match than it is to go out there and play.
Yeah. 100%.
So he's enjoying it, and we appreciate him for it because he is making our viewership levels in the CDL absolutely crush.
He's doing wonders.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Kyle, I got some, for all of the longtime listeners out there, I got some DMs from Kyle. So Kyle, if you're listening to this, shout out to Kyle. Got some DMs from the boy, and he said, I'm tuning into this Thieves versus OpTic final. And he was dropping some thoughts on me. So Kyle was tuned in this weekend. He was one of the hundreds of thousands of viewers tuned into final, dropping some analysis on me. So Kyle was watching this event. Maybe we'll be able to have him hop on for a special prediction for Major 5 or Champs or something. But he was tuned in. His busy schedule. He was tuned in this weekend. He's a big Octane fan for you, those of you that remember. So he was excited to see Octane win. Yeah, let's jump into some other stuff. We got before we talk matches, I wanted to talk about the Champs bubble. It got interesting this weekend, Brock. More interesting than we maybe thought it would be.
Yeah.
So really, like, what were we thinking before this major? It's everybody 1 through 7's locked in, and it's Rocker versus Vegas for 8. Was pretty much what we were thinking.
Yeah, for the most part.
Well, now we're not so sure. Odds are it's going to be Rocker versus Vegas for 8, and that's it. But Boston and Surge in a little bit of danger. All of a sudden, Surge, with their poor finish, are sitting in 6th place at 180 points. In 7th is Boston with 160. In 8th is Rocker with 150. And then in 9th is Vegas with 130. So I would say Surge are pretty safe because I can't see a world where Surge just don't win any matches this major.
Yeah.
So I'd say they're pretty safe at 180 because even if they win like one match, 190 is going to be hard for Vegas to jump them. All those teams jumping them. So they're pretty safe. But Boston at 160, I believe NYSL overcame a 50-point deficit. I mean, Rocker could easily jump Boston. They're only 10 points behind them. And Vegas, 30 points behind. It's not likely, but it's not impossible for Vegas to jump them from 160 to 130.
No, it's definitely not possible, especially if like Boston has a subpar major and then just bottom out again.
If they play like they did towards the tail end of this major, they could start in losers. And I put down their strength of schedules. I think it was another post from Jacob Hale with like based on the average placing of the teams they're playing here are the hardest schedules. I don't think Vegas is making champs, Brock.
Yeah, I saw that. I feel like it was like OpTic, Faze.
I got it.
Surge and all that.
I got it listed here. They play OpTic, NYSL, Atlanta, Minnesota, and Seattle. No freebies there. I mean,
yeah,
OpTic, a contender to win a tournament every time. NYSL, a legit good top team. Atlanta, we know Atlanta. Minnesota, also fighting for the life and not an easy team to beat. Minnesota's a decent team. And then Seattle, another very good team. So Vegas might actually go 0-5.
Yeah, they need to bring their A plus 150% game.
To me, they've got to find a way to pick off wins against NYSL, Minnesota, and Seattle. You got to win those 3 matches, go 3-2, and make winners. And I mean, obviously, especially Minnesota, you have to beat them. You can't give them more points.
Yeah, got to beat Minnesota.
On the other hand, Minnesota has the 8th hardest strength of schedule, according to average placing. They get Ravens, Boston, Legion, Thieves, and Toronto. So I could see a world where, they take out London, but I could see a world where they lose to Boston, LAT, and Toronto.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, it could get very interesting because, like, would it shock you if Minnesota beat London, then lost to Boston, LAT, and Toronto? And I believe they play Vegas in the last match. So Minnesota could be 1-3 facing Vegas, who, let's say, is 0-4 against OpTic, NYSL, Seattle, and Atlanta. So that would mean that Rocker would be at 160, Vegas would still be at 130. They win. It'd be Rocker 160, Vegas 140 heading into the major. So interesting enough if Rocker could bottom out and Vegas could make a run.
We want Vegas in for their home crowd champs.
Yeah. Honestly, though, at this point, I don't think they're going to be in. If I had to take a bet, I'm definitely betting on Minnesota right now.
Yeah, after their performance this weekend, just unfortunate.
Yeah. Got a cushion, and they have a lot easier schedule. And then when we look at Boston, a team that could potentially fall out of the top 8. They have the 5th hardest strength of schedule. They play Minnesota, Florida, Seattle, Atlanta, NYSL. So also a very tough little schedule there. Like Minnesota, Florida should be able to get wins there, but Seattle, Atlanta, NYSL are tough matches.
Mm-hmm.
And then Surge has the 2nd hardest strength of schedule, only behind Legion. They play Ultra, OpTic, Breach, NYSL, and Vegas. So all these teams that are on this bubble have tough schedules, except maybe Rocker. But I could see a world where Boston, Rocker, and Vegas are all starting in losers at this next event, and they're the 3 teams on the bubble.
Yeah, definitely.
So wild to think about there. You got your initial reaction is what? Surge stay at 6, Boston stay at 7, Rocker 8th. Is that your probably initial thoughts?
Yeah. For some reason, I want to put the Rocker above Boston.
I don't hate that take. I could see a world where Boston loses to every team except Florida, only ends at 170, and I could see Rocker beating like Ravens, Boston, Vegas, going 3-2, and being at 180, up 10 points. I don't hate that take at all.
Mm-hmm. It could definitely get very scary for Boston, though.
Yeah, it can get very scary for Boston if all of a sudden like Vegas just have a crazy hot run.
Mm-hmm.
Where Vegas makes winners, Rocker makes winners, and Boston is in losers. It could get very scary for Boston very quickly.
Yeah, a little bit. They thought they were safe, and not doing so hot.
Yeah, they made the change to try to make a run at champs, and all of a sudden they might not even make champs. I'm assuming they will, but you never know.
Yeah, be interesting though for the next major.
Yeah, definitely will be. All right, let's talk a little bit about the tournament. We're about 20 minutes into the podcast. Don't want to make this one too crazy long because everybody watched the matches that's listening, so they know what they saw. But we'll talk a little bit about what we thought about the teams, kind of starting from our bottom teams on down. We got a couple teams that dropped out in top 12 that, unless you want to say something about them, I got nothing to say about Gorillas. Did the typical Gorillas. Probably should have actually won against Surge, but they blew it, but they're out of things. Don't really have much to say about them. London got 3-0'd by Minnesota. Not much to say about them either. We can kind of save some time, skip over them. But the interesting thing from London is the Scraps tweet, obviously.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Saying how they basically haven't been a team. They don't listen to each other. They argue a lot. And it's just unfortunate to hear because a veteran player like Scraps, a lot of guys I like in that team. I like Nasty a lot. Don't know too much about Yuli, but he does seem like he has a lot of talent. I'm a big ASIM fan. I think you're also a pretty big ASIM fan. So it sucks to see that people want to say oh, how can they be going through all these struggles? It's not that hard to just work on the teamwork. But if you've ever been in a competitive setting and you're struggling that bad, with a lot of these guys know their career is potentially on the line, this bad of a year, they might never make a team again. It's a stressful situation, so it can bring out the worst in people.
Yeah.
So I want to say for people that are being a little hard on them, give them the benefit of the doubt because it's a highly competitive situation where they are constantly losing, which is going to bring out the worst in people. So it's an unfortunate situation, but I hope they can get things sorted out and at least have a decent stage here. And let's let all those players just go off so they can keep their potential future alive in the CDL.
Yeah, definitely. It's just very, very hard for that situation. They don't respect each other, which is not going to do well if they don't want to get on basically with each other.
Yeah. And it's hard to find motivation when you're basically out of champs, so you're just kind of playing,
You're just there going through the motions, not really learning anything.
For pride and you've played sports, you've played competitive things, when you're really, really struggling, it's the respect just kind of naturally goes because everybody wants to point blame for why you suck. Because it's a lot easier to say this guy in your team is the reason that you suck instead of actually looking at yourself and being I could probably do this, and this better.
Yeah,
that takes work to work on yourself. It's way easier to just be yeah, that guy sucks. That's the reason that we suck.
Yeah.
Even though it might be part of the case, but if you're that bad, usually everybody on the team has some kind of blame to go around for something they're doing. Even if you're dropping a 1.5 every map, there might be something you're doing to make your teammates not feel comfortable. That's the reason that you're dropping that 1.5, or maybe the way you're talking to them is making them feel uncomfortable to make a play on the map or something. There's always something everybody could do to improve.
Yep. Well, let's see London go 5-0 this stage, and won't make champs, but yeah.
Yeah, they'd have to go like 5-0 and win the event through winners.
Yeah, I don't know
Or have
about
a
that
chance.
one.
Yeah, if that happens, that would legitimately be the greatest run of all time in Call of Duty. If London went 5-0 and made a run through winners to make champs, that'd be the greatest run in Call of Duty. Better than that New York run from last year to make it.
Yeah. Dang.
Um,
But London, I got nothing else. LAG, they're showing up at this point. They got nothing. Unfortunate situation, like I said already.
yeah, I mean, nothing they could do. They got no org backing. It's just a tough situation.
They can't do anything. Just gotta go play.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other two teams. Let's talk about one that I think will be a little faster. It's Boston. Honestly, nobody's shocked by this result. Are we shocked Boston finished top 12? Yeah, because we probably view them as like a top, like a fringe top 6 team, right? We probably viewed them in that like 6th-ish range.
Yeah, I would say like 6, 7.
Yeah, something in there. But like, they're like a fringe top 6 team. Like if you were going to put them somewhere, you'd probably put them behind like your OpTic, your Thieves, your Faze, your NYSL, your Ultra, but then maybe your Surge too. So like, yeah, they're probably on that border. Like where you'd think like 6, 7, like a good team. On the right day can make a run to top 4. On the wrong day could fall to top 8. But top 12, not what we expected. But once again, not shocked based on who they had to play. They played OpTic and then dropped down and play Ultra. I think we would both agree that both those teams are better than Boston. I'll take Toronto and OpTic over Boston all day. I think anybody would.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
But Boston drop out to OpTic, not shocked there. They actually did play that series relatively close. Dashy popped off on the side of OpTic, a 1.5 on the series. The hard points kind of a little bit one-sided, about a 100-point win for OpTic in the map 1. And then the map 4, Boston had a chance to win. OpTic had a nice little comeback on the hotel, wins by about 60. Boston take the search only, drop down, lose to Ultra. Your thoughts on Boston going forward? That's kind of what we want to do for each team here. Just kind of talk about our thoughts going forward on them.
Thoughts on Boston going forward is need to figure it out together as a team because they got the talent, just about putting it together.
Yeah. Yep. I fully agree. It's all about putting it together going forward. I think Vivid's technically still under contract for them, so he could be put back in the lineup, but I think the chemistry there might be a little chalked from all that happened, but it's a tough situation because I think Kremp's a good player. It just doesn't seem like they've made any improvement from their change with Vivid, so I look forward to seeing it, but like we mentioned, they don't have the easiest schedule coming up. I mean, they got to play Minnesota, Florida, then Seattle, Atlanta, NYSL. So another losers bracket could potentially be on the horizon for them. So I'm looking forward to see what they can do. I'm not like writing them off. They're starting to drop a little bit in my standings, but I'm not going to say I'd be shocked to see them finish with like a top 6 or top 4 at Major 5. It wouldn't shock me, but kind of down on Boston a little bit right now after the whole major. They looked a little bit subpar. The whole stage, I should say.
Yep.
Then we got Legion. Much more disappointing event than Boston, in my opinion. This was an event where, like we said, with how tough their schedule is, and how easy they had their schedule going into this major, and then they got a winnable first round matchup. To be honest with you, I would say I would have rather played Subliners than OpTic, Thieves, Surge, Faze, any of those teams. Like Subliners are one of the more winnable matchups. They haven't been great since Major 1. And Subliners smoked a Legion. That was one of the most one-sided series we've seen all year.
Yeah, it was the DoorDash Challenge of the Year.
Yeah, that series was a 30-minute series. So, look at the numbers. Temp had a CDL record 0.43. Sky is 1.68. Priesta 1.58. Hydra 1.65. They had 3 guys dropping a 1.6.
Yeah. Man.
That we don't even have to talk about the series. Like, they just got smoked. I'm like, okay, they got to regain. The whole Hydra controversy happened after Hydra and Clay. Then I'm like, okay, they got to regain. They get a winnable match against the Florida Mutineers.
They did. They're up 5-2 in search,
and they were up 5-2. Map 5 on arguably their best map or one of their best maps, and they blow it. Temp had a nice bounce back series, but Legion, what is their outlook going forward? We kind of already talked about it. It's looking grim for them. They really needed to, beat NYSL, or at the very least, like, they had a legit pathway where they could have made a little bit of a run in losers. Take out Florida, you get to play Ultra, who you had a little bit of a success against, in the online qualifiers, and then you probably fall out to Faze, but at least you get a top 6.
Yeah, that's more points.
Yeah, well, they'd be tied right now, probably, because I think they get 20 points for that. They'd be tied with Rocker.
Yep. Instead, they literally throw the Game 5 away, and Clayster's down bad right now.
And it's not like they threw like a numbers advantage in a round at the end, whereas like round 11, they were up 3-2 on lives, and they just threw it away like they had numbers advantage. No, they blew a 5-2 lead. Just find a way to win one round. And you're in, and nope.
Man, yeah, I think I was watching that game. I saw them go up 5-2, and then I think I was at work, so I had to go back to work, and then
You went to work thinking, all right, Vegas won.
Yeah, and then I came back and I saw our chat, and like they're saying "Holy Vegas," and I was like, I thought they won, and then they lost.
Yeah, so tough. I'll look for them going forward. I think we're both kind of in sync there. Pretty grim.
So it's the time get up ahead, and they just we're in winners for about 30 minutes. First time
Although
ever.
I will say, if they do end up making champs, it'll be a very fun stage 5 to watch, because that means Vegas beat some good teams to make it there.
Yeah.
Or maybe Minnesota went 0-5 and got instantly eliminated, and Vegas limped their way to 3 wins or something.
Yeah, definitely be good.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our teams that finished top 8. One team that we don't have a lot to talk about with them, really, it's Florida. Had a nice win against Vegas, very good, showing a clutch showing. I feel like if this team was together from the beginning of the year, I would have loved to see their development, because I do think this team has some potential. Like Brack and Fellow are a decent AR duo. Fellow's so good in Search, and we're both Fellow fans. And then Vickle and Capsule is a sub duo for the low budget Mutineers. The Vickle Capsule duo is a pretty high upside sub duo for the low budget that they bring.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's not the best sub duo, but like we know Florida is one of the lower paying teams, so they can't get the top end talent. And those two are pretty good for the level of players that Florida's normally able to acquire.
Yeah. Yep. Vickle and Cap's pretty good. Cap was doing good too at Vanguard, and something happened there last year. Yeah.
I like him a lot. He seems like a good kid too. He came on the Scump watch party, and you could tell he's definitely a little bit nervous, a little bit shy, but he seems like a really good kid. I like Cap a lot. I hope he continues to have a spot in the league. Maybe on Florida next year they build around him, because he is definitely a player for a team that like Florida. I would venture to say that Florida is going to have a hard time finding anybody as talented as Capsule to get in their team.
The price too, like you said.
Yeah, like their budget's very low. They don't pay a lot, so they're not going to get a lot. And Capsule seems like a good kid to build around, and like seems like he'd be pretty easy to play with. Like teammates, anybody would gel with him. Like Method seems to like him a lot. And I'll be interested to see what Florida can do, because I think Florida has a chance to make winners bracket at this next major. Looking at their schedule here, they are like tied for like third easiest, fourth easiest schedule. They play LAG, Boston, LAT, London, and Texas. I think that they can beat LAG in London pretty easily. Yep. And I think that they could find a way, online LAT, hangover from a win. I think they could find a way to either take out LAT, OpTic, or Boston. Most likely, probably Boston. Or they could 3-0 LAG in London and just keep series close against the other ones, and just based on map count, make it to winners. So I think Florida could make a little bit of noise and potentially have an outside chance at a top 8, top 6 finish again. But obviously for the season, they're pretty chalked, but they're an interesting team to watch going forward.
Yeah, they're making the most of what they got.
Yeah, of our bottom teams, like if I see like a LAG or a London match, I'm just ready to fall asleep. But like if Florida's on, I'm like not completely tuned out. Like I'm like, I kind of like watching this team. They've got some talent. I like to see what Capsule and Vickle can do.
Yep. Scrappy team as well.
Yeah, good search and destroy team. They'll keep series close, even if they get 3-0. Like usually the maps will be close. They're not the absolute snooze fest that London and LAG are.
Yeah, they're
our other team that finished top 8, Brock.
Type of bottom team.
Yeah, like they're not the bottom team that you just completely beat up on. Like you can't sleep your way through a series against them.
Yeah.
Then we got Surge, the other team that finished top 8. Obviously, a little bit more to say about them. Disappointing. It was a close series against Rocker. They also had a close series against LAG. Just didn't seem like Surge's weekend, which is, the story of Seattle Surge. Mac, tough one for Mac.
Up and down.
And it's just, the case. We got a lot of people calling for them to try to pick up Vivid. You and I have a different player. You want to say that we talked about that we think would be perfect, that they should go all in for?
They should do everything they can to get Asim from London.
Yep. winning player. He will make Pred's life so much easier. He will just basically open up the map for Pred and Sib to kill everything. Well, he also has consistency issues. I think that he would bring a level of, objective play to that Surge lineup that would really help out Pred just even be more unlocked than he already is. And I'm probably one of the biggest Mac fans out there. So if they keep Mac, I'm not going to say it's a bad move either, because I still, regardless of how inconsistent he's been, I still believe that Mac is a very good player. And the upside of picking up an ASIM could hurt them, considering how much experience they have with Mac and how they seem to, do well at tournaments when it really matters, like champs and stuff. They finished, third or fourth last year?
Third.
Yeah, like they still are a good team with Mac. So like, I'm not like, oh my god, you have to get Mac out of there, or you're gonna suck. Like, it's not a must, but like, I gotta think London would be willing to recoup a little cash to give you ASIM because they got nothing else to do this year. Go all in for ASIM, but Surge, disappointing weekend, but I still think the future is bright for them. I still think they have a legit chance to be the world champions this year. I truly believe that. I would be shocked if they round themselves into form, and I think they're going to be like, along with like the top three from this event, along with Thieves, OpTic, and Faze. I think like Ultra and Surge are the two teams I believe have the best chance to make a run and win champs. I think they're like my 4 and 5. Ultra and Surge are still there for me.
Yeah, definitely. Just off weekend, Mac had a little bit of blunders, but it's Call of Duty, sometimes it happens.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he's a bit inconsistent. It seems to happen more often than you'd like, but like you said, it's Call of Duty, things happen. Unfortunate for Mac because I really like him.
Yeah. But Accuracy was playing pretty darn good this weekend.
Great. Overall, this whole stage was the best stage we've seen from Accuracy in a long time.
Yeah. Hopefully you can keep this up.
Yeah. We're also Accuracy fans over here. We just kind of like this Surge team.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I don't know if you disagree, but like to me right now, I believe there's 6 teams that can win champs. Not saying that they're all equally likely. I definitely think there's teams that are more likely, but to me, OpTic, Thieves, Faze, Seattle, Ultra, Subliners, to me are the 6 teams I believe can win champs. You got your like fringe teams like Boston and Minnesota and Vegas who are on the fringe, but to me, the cutoff is at 6. Thieves, OpTic, Faze, Subliners, Ultra, Surge. To me are the 6 teams that could win champs.
Yeah, I probably have to agree.
Like, I think Subliners and Surge are the 2 on the outskirts, probably 5 and 6. I'd still put Ultra probably at 4th, just because we've seen them win an event, we've seen them do it. But like, I think if Surge and Subliners made a run and won champs, you wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, definitely.
They have a Pred and they have a Hydra and they have the talent. But like, if Minnesota or Boston or Vegas are 3 teams fighting for the bottom 2 made a run and won champs, you'd be pretty shocked.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of be shocked if Subliners win the champs, not gonna lie.
I would too, but it's less shocking because like they have a Hydra and they've won an event this year. We've seen them win an event with this teams and they have a MVP caliber player. Whereas like I look at like a Boston and a Minnesota and a Vegas, and I don't really think they have like an MVP. They have good players, but I don't think they have MVP players, where Hydra is an MVP player.
Yeah. True.
Our top 6 teams. Minnesota, good weekend from them overall. Honestly, they have a tough start. They played Thieves, which they can't beat, and they played them actually relatively close. And obviously, Thieves go on to be the clear best team of the weekend, winning it all. But Rocker has a nice little losers run. They take out London as they should. Then they take out a good Surge team and then fight hard to New York and lose. But a good weekend for them to get a little cushion while Vegas faltered. Minnesota clutched up and got a top 6.
Yeah, definitely. I did not think Minnesota, after the second map, would have it in them to reverse sweep Surge.
No, neither did I. But they get it done. They win 3-2. My outlook for them going forward is I believe they're the 8th seed for champs. I think they're going to make it there. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world because I do think this team has potential to get a little better and shake things up, make things interesting against probably Faze as the number 1 seed. Because I do think Cammy seems to be rounding into form. I like the way that Fame plays. And I think overall, Afro Bants, they have potential. Like, this team seems to be icy. I could see them not being an easy out at champs. I mean, I would still expect them to lose to Faze in the first round if that's the 1A matchup. But Minnesota, my outlook for them going forward is we'll probably see them at champs.
Yep. It's weird to see if they do make champs. Attach isn't going to be there.
Back-to-back years, no attach at champs because Minnesota finished 9th last year.
Yeah, that'd be definitely weird.
Yeah. Our other team, Ultra, they lost 3-2 to Faze to finish top 6 after taking out Mutineers 3-0 and Boston 3-1 the round earlier. I would actually say it's a pretty good round or a pretty good major from Ultra, to be honest, all things considered. The stage itself wasn't all that great overall for them. Obviously, you don't want to go from winning the tournament to starting in losers. So that obviously wasn't good for them. But just talking strictly with the major, they handled Boston Scrappy, popped off in that series. They handled Mutineers 3-0, and they played Faze extremely close. Very easily could have gone their way that series. They lose in a map 5, 6-3, but they almost win that opening hard point. It's 250 to 244 game. They could have easily closed it out. They lose the map 2 search, win the control, win the hard point to force a map 5 and a chance at the reverse sweep and lose. Could have easily, honestly, won that series in a 3-1 fashion. Probably should have won that opening hard point.
Yeah, one little like adjustment or clutch kill on the map. They win map 1 and they won 3-1.
Yeah, so very honestly good weekend from Ultra from where they started. Definitely had a chance to make it to top 4.
Yeah, bounce back after the rough major online qualifiers.
I'll look for them going forward. I think they're going to bounce back though. I'll pull up their schedule. They have the 3rd easiest schedule, or tied for 3rd easiest with OpTic in Boston, based on the average place in the current standings for teams. So Ultra plays Seattle, LAT, Texas, LAG, Minnesota. So, Seattle, LAT, OpTic, obviously tough matches, but considering they play LAG in Minnesota, that drags their strength of schedule way down. Since Minnesota's in 8th and LAG's in 11th or 12th. So they should be able to get a win against LAG in Minnesota and then just find a way to win against Seattle, LAT, or OpTic, and they'll find themselves the winners again. I look forward to Toronto having a better major. I feel like they're going to bounce back. They honestly looked good overall this whole stage. They just lost a lot of map 5s against good teams. They had a good, tough schedule this major. I got no worries with them. I think they're still going to be right in the mix to win the next 2 tournaments.
It'll be fun going forward.
Yeah, they got a good team, good teamwork, and superstar players. New York finished 4th. They're a 4th place finishing team. A little surprising. Granted, they did get to play Vegas first, which a lot of us were picking them to lose, but they 3-0'd Vegas, and like we said, that was not even close. That was a smoke by New York. They dominated them. And then New York kind of got dominated by OpTic. OpTic is a bad matchup for New York right now with how good they are at hardpoint. And just the map set for New York is just not good against OpTic.
Yeah.
Until that map pool changes, it's going to be tough for them to ever beat OpTic. But they go down after losing to OpTic. They take out Minnesota, and then they lose 3-2 to Faze in a tight series. But 4th place finish for New York. Good bounce back.
Yep. That they should have won. Was it map? They could have won map 2 if it wasn't for that 1v4 from Abezy as well.
Yeah, that 1v4, one of the greatest plays we've ever seen. That was insane.
That was very good.
Yeah, and that was just a overall pop-off series from Cellium and Abezy, obviously, and that Search and Destroy was unreal. At 16 kills. Abezy's damage, almost 12,500. Next closest in the lobby was low 11,000s of Skies. Hisman and Hydra kind of got shut down this series against Faze, though.
Yeah.
Below 1, nothing like extreme, like they weren't terrible. But Hydra dropping a 0.95 is pretty far off what you usually expect. That 1.2 from Hydra, the unrealistic, crazy expectations he has because of how good he is.
Yeah.
But New York was up 2-1. He'd like to see them close that out against Faze. But they improved. I feel like going forward, my outlook for them is still they're more towards 5th or 6th, closer to 5th or 6th than they are to like top 1 or 2. But they're a good team. Like I expect them to consistently make runs to top 6 here for this last major.
Yeah. Definitely a better bounce back showing top 4 than what they got before. Like
they're top 8 and top 12. Yeah. They had like a top 8 and a top 12 after winning.
Yeah. So
it's our 3rd place team, Brock. What were you gonna say?
I said they're on the rise from their bad placings.
Yep. Back on the climb again. But our 3rd place team, the team that refuses to finish worse than 3rd. They will not do it. They will not finish worse than 3rd. Like
consistently good.
Man, everybody's like, man, they're struggling lately. They got back-to-back 3rds. Like, most people wish their struggles was what does Faze have this year? Like, they lost. Did they lose the first major? Did they finish 2nd at the first major?
No, I think that was Surge.
You're right. So did they get 3rd, 1st, 3rd, 3rd?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yes, they have 3/3 of the first. People wish that was their off year. a win in 3/3. You got anything else to say about Faze besides they're completely fine? Just got to fix their hard point. I'm a little bit concerned about their hard point at this point, I guess. We always just say Faze are fine because they're Faze. But I will say, I am a little bit concerned about their hard point. They do need to get a little bit, like, we keep saying they're Faze and they'll improve, but, like, I want to see the improvement now with their hard point. I'm getting a little impatient with it.
Yeah. They're fine, just hard point, and I don't know. I feel like Simp just has had a down year for most of it.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's like he's not playing bad, but it's like he's not superstar Simp a lot of times.
Yeah. It's like, but when he does play like that, they're unstoppable and they win the tournament.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to look here where.
Like against OpTic, yeah. I want OpTic. You know, they got 3-0'd, but Faze got 3-0 by OpTic, and Simp had a .82.
Yeah, like Simp's overall KD on the year. Can you guess what it is? His overall across all 3 game modes, all tournaments, online, LAN, everything included.
Probably still like a 1.05 or something.
Exactly a 1. He's a .97 in hardpoint, a .99 in control, and then a 1.14 in S&D. So he's playing very well in S&D. At least the numbers show that he is. But yeah, in terms of like, yeah, that's a good year. He's having a very good S&D year and been a good respawn player, but like not the typical Simp we're used to.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's like I don't see a lot of pop-off games too from him either. Like
he has them every once in a while, but yeah, I agree. A little concern for the hardpoint, but like overall, once again.
Yep.
I think are clearly head and shoulders above Faze right now. I still would probably pick Faze to be my team to finish guaranteed top 3.
Yeah.
The next major. I'm still probably picking Faze over OpTic and Thieves. As dumb as that sounds, OpTic and Thieves clearly better teams than Faze right now by a lot. But OpTic randomly has just like events or matches where they just bottom out. Thieves also same thing. They have random events or matches where they bottom out. Faze never does.
Yep.
Like, what did I see? Simp now has finished top 3 at 90% of the tournaments he's attended since becoming a pro. That's literally stupid.
Yeah. That's actually insane. Isn't the next one like 60% or whatever it is?
I think the next one is like Abezy at like 80 because he played like almost all of his tournaments besides World War II with Simp.
Yeah,
and then it's like Cellium is up there, and then it's like the OpTic Dynasty.
Yeah, so when Simp goes there, Trevor, he's 90% of the time he's getting top 3 or better, which is absolutely crazy.
Basically, he walks in tournament, he's guaranteed top 3. Which like people just like want to say third isn't crazy because you know you don't remember them being in the finals, but that is absurd. Basically, he's guaranteed to finish. He's basically guaranteed to be in losers finals of every tournament or better.
Mm-hmm.
It's absurd. Like, I'm not worried about Faze. We can move on to our top 2 because I don't think you're worried about Faze either.
Not worried, just some tweaks they need to make, but
and I trust them to make them. I think I'm willing to bet come champs time we will see them in the top 3 on Sunday or on Saturday. I guess I think only the championships played on Sunday now for champs, but I'm willing to take a bet that champs comes around, Faze will be in the top 3 again.
Yep.
All right, our second place team, OpTic. Another fantastic event from them. They come out, they beat Breach, they dominate New York. They lose to Thieves, tough match. Go down into losers, 3-0 Faze, and then have a tough final against Thieves that they could have very easily forced to a map 7. OpTic looks fantastic again. Back-to-back seconds is obviously not what they or the fans want, but they are clearly the second best team in the game right now. Like, there's no debate. It's Thieves and them pretty much in a tier of their own, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
And this was a great final. Thieves obviously come out on top, so nothing to worry about for either of these 2 teams because it's not like this was a fluke run. These are 2 teams that, when they have a good run, OpTic has back second place. We know we trust them, and Thieves hasn't had a crazy run. Like last major, they didn't have the best run, but it's Thieves. You know, we trust that when they win an event, they're going to be able to keep it consistent. They're the world champs for a reason.
Yeah, definitely.
And Octane, man, he's the best main AR in the world right now. I don't even think it's a debate.
He's so good. Him and Dashy, just when you just watch shoot their gun just so straight from so far away.
Yeah, and you know the OpTic fans are going to want to say Dashy, incredible player, probably second, but Octane's the best main AR in the world. It's not a debate. He just won MVP of the tournament. He dominated all tournament long. Dashy, obviously, fantastic tournament as well. He's right up there, but Octane currently is the best AR in the world. It's not to say Dashy can't be in the next major here, but it's currently Octane, and it's not a debate.
Yep. These are rounding the form, just like last year. It's gonna get scary if they keep on improving.
Yep. And shout out to Thieves. They become the first team
That's right.
to break the curse, to win an event as the same core four post champs. Obviously, we talked about this. It basically we only counted from Black Ops 3 on when champs like happened at the end of the year, unlike AW and before when it happened mid year. But Black Ops 3, obviously, that NV team goes on to get second at the final two events in IW, but did not win one. The IW champs, the Dynasty, ended up getting second in the crazy attach 1v3 through the artillery.
Mhm.
The Dynasty gets second, but never wins again. World War II champs, they go on to join Envy and add Hook, and not even close. Then our Black Ops 4 champs split up, so it's kind of a NA, like, not applicable thing there, because obviously, like, Clay goes a separate way, Arcitys goes a separate way, Bristini goes a separate way, and then Simp and Abezy go a separate way, so that one doesn't really apply. The MW champs split up, they drop Clay, keep that core four, don't win an event. Then our Cold War champs get 800 second places in Faze.
They're close. They're close.
They're close many times. And then our Vanguard champs, Thieves, become the first core four to win an event the year after they won champs. So they broke the curse, and I don't know if they're done. I'm not going to be surprised if Thieves win either Major 4 or champs or both. I'd be pretty shocked, I guess, if they won both. 3P would be pretty hard to end the year.
That would too. That would be, but man,
with how competitive we are, but not shocked if Thieves win one of these next two events.
Yeah, but Thieves, their teammate just makes so much sense, and their comms are so good. Teamwork's so good. They're so talented too, man.
Kenny running into form per usual end of the year. Envoy had a little bit of an off series in the finals, but played very well other than that. And not like he played terrible in the finals by any means either.
No. But in draws, he did his thing. He had like 1.0.
Honestly, I don't know if you have a different thing in mind, but to me, the most impressive thing about this entire run for Thieves was, like, I think you'll agree, it was clear Thieves and OpTic were head and shoulders above every other team at this event. They were clearly the best two teams at the event. Like, it wasn't even a debate. They were clearly the two best teams.
Mm-hmm.
But the most impressive thing to me for Thieves, they went 3-1 against OpTic and Hardpoint, which OpTic was on maybe the most dominant Hardpoint run in like a small stretch we'd ever seen. Like, they were killing teams, 100-point clubbing teams,
good
repeatedly. Teams. Good teams, yeah. Surge, NYSL, like, they were dominating Faze. They were dominating teams at Hardpoint. Thieves beats them twice in winners finals, and then another one in game one, and then they got dominated. But, like, OpTic is good at Hardpoint, but OpTic on Fortress is like another level.
Mm-hmm.
So can't believe Thieves didn't veto Fortress and OpTic didn't pick it in winners final.
Yeah, that's a little crazy to think about.
Like, team should be almost auto vetoing Fortress against OpTic, because if you leave it in, it's a guaranteed map loss. That was the most impressive thing to me, is that Thieves are able to. They won both controls also, which was big, and something they needed to do, in my opinion, to win that final, because OpTic is not a great control team.
Yeah. Agreed.
But to go 3-1 against OpTic on their historic hardpoint run, crazy impressive out of Thieves.
Yep. They're just a perfect team makeup.
Yep, and we got some weird people hating on Draza for talking trash. If you don't like a team or a player, that's one thing, but, like, any OpTic fans that are hating on Draza, for kind of talking his shit after winning the tournament, that are, like, hating because he did that, you would be loving it if it was Dashy that said it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If Dashy was the one that said that and was talking trash to Draza, you'd be absolutely loving it. So, like, that's the one thing I always think is, like, even, like, when my sports team loses and I hear somebody talking trash, I'm like, man, that upsets me. But it's like, I'd be happy if my player was doing it. And any OpTic fan out there saying they wouldn't, like, if Shotzi picked up the mic after the event and started talking trash to Draza, you'd be hyped.
Yeah, it's just good content, and I mean that's what Draza just does. Well, you should know by now. He just does that all the time.
And let's be honest, that's probably what makes Draza and what makes him good. If he didn't have that edge, he probably would be as good.
Definitely, that probably is very true.
I mean, these guys have to have an edge like that. You have to have an ego, and you have to have an edge to get to this level of pro in anything. You've got to have some kind of edge to you. That's what Draza's edge is, and, like, Draza, shout out to Draza. We appreciate Draza. He's a great player that had a struggle a little bit before this stage. He wasn't playing the best.
He was not.
We saw the screenshot of somebody telling him to Nadeshot to drop him, and we know what Nadeshot said in return. And he posted that today. So shout out to Nade. Nade knows when you got a team this good, you don't just drop somebody for a bad stage. The defending world champs deserve to stay together. So shout out to Thieves. Neither of these teams are slowing down. I would not be surprised, and they're probably the favorites to return and meet in the finals again.
Yeah, it's a weird matchup because for OpTic against Thieves, his Octane always just pops off every time.
Yep.
He just loves it.
Yep. And they seem to have a way to limit the sub duo. Who can Shotzi by no means had a bad series. Nobody on OpTic had a bad series. Everybody was basically at a 1. Ghosty
Yep.
0.98, Hook and Shotzi both had 0.97s, and Dashy had a 1.01. And the pacing is pretty good. Everybody on OpTic the subs are 10 kills more, just a little bit more. Or Shotzi, I guess, just a little bit more, and then all the engagements are relatively even across the board, which is what you want to see for OpTic. But yeah, they just find a way to just not let Hook and Shotzi pop off. It seems like,
yeah,
they find a way to shut down that sub duo.
It's like the structure of the team, how they perform the maps. I don't know what they do, but it's crazy.
There'll be some more battles from these two teams, I think, going forward, though. I think I see it happening in the future. Some more battles.
These two, and more likely Faze as well in the mix.
Yeah, and it was fun to see those 3 teams as our top 3 for the first time in the CDL era.
Yeah, the biggest brands.
Yeah. All right. That's the major wrap-up. Obviously, we don't deep dive too much into matches. You guys watched them. You know what happened. We just want to give our thoughts on each team going forward. Last thing we want to do, quick, maybe take a minute or two each, run through our tier list. We're not going to put anything up. This is just a really rough draft, not even in order. So let's say Thieves are probably the top of S tier. They're probably number 1 team in the league right now. I might say another team and then Thieves in S tier. There's no order. If I say the team first, it doesn't mean they're first in that tier. If I say them last, it doesn't mean they're last. It's just they're in that tier. Mm-hmm. No specific order. We did S, A, B, C, D, and F tiers. Yeah, we made an F tier. Let's start at the bottom. Who do you have in F tier?
Man, LAG.
By themselves?
I put LAG and I put London.
Okay. I had the exact same F tier because I do think, I'm assuming we have the same D tier. I put Florida up in D tier.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Florida, like we both said, they're just they still suck. They're not a good team, but they're just a little bit more competitive than London Royal Ravens and LAG, who deserve a special spot down there. And Florida are a little more competitive, but they're still in D. Let's not get it twisted. Florida is still not a good team.
Yeah, they're not good, but they show a lot more life than LAG and London.
Yeah, I believe that they could upset a top team on the right day, whereas LAG and London, it's no, not happening.
Yeah.
C tier, who you got? This is where I feel like we could differ and maybe move people up or down one. Who do you have in C tier?
My C tier, I have 2 teams, and it's the Breach and Vegas Legion.
Okay, I have 3 teams. I have those 2 you just mentioned, Breach and Vegas Legion. I also have Minnesota down in C tier. I couldn't justify putting them in B tier with the 3 teams I have up there because I just feel like they're a level below.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. The way I looked at it is so my F tier obviously just down bad, D tier also down bad, but maybe a little bit better. My C tier is they could make champs, but to me they're just not a contender, and that was our 7, 8, 9. Boston, Minnesota, Vegas. To me, they're just not contenders.
Yeah.
So I put those 3 in C. Then in B tier are my teams that are I think they're contenders, but I'm a little bit worried, and I have Toronto, NYSL, and Seattle in B tier.
I have those 3 as well, and I put Rocker. Just
okay. Rocker's fair because I could see them making a run, but yeah, I have them in C, but I can see the world where you put them in B.
I put them at the end, the end of B, by themselves. They could get there.
They're B minus. Everybody else is a B.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just the reason I have one lower, like I said, is because I do see a world where Toronto, NYSL, and Seattle could win champs. I just can't see that with Rocker, so I got to put them a step below.
But you never know. I couldn't see LEG winning in a Vanguard in a Major 2. They won.
That is true. That is true. They did win that one. Who you got in A tier?
I said Rocker. It's never chalk. Shout out Major Maniac.
True. Get him back on the roster.
Get him back on the team.
True.
I have A. I just have Faze.
Yep, I agree, and that means we have the same S tier. Thieves and OpTic.
Yep.
So weird to not have Faze in an S tier, but right now Thieves and OpTic are clearly head and shoulders above everybody else. I'm gonna take a guess. I'm gonna say that we're gonna move Atlanta up to S tier, and we're gonna have those 3 teams in S tier, and I think we're gonna move Toronto up to A tier after the next major. I think we'll be sitting with Thieves, OpTic, Faze in S tier, and I think Toronto will be alone in A tier, and everybody else probably stay roughly where they are.
Yeah. I mean, put Faze up in the S tier. Could we have a team not really have it in an A tier potentially?
I think it'd be fair. The thing is, though, Faze are just clearly a step below Thieves and OpTic, but I think they're clearly just based on their consistency a step above Toronto, NYSL, Seattle, those teams.
Mhm.
Just based on like how Toronto went from winning to being losers, and NYSL went from winning to 12th and 8th, and Seattle went from 2nd to down to 8th to 4th to down to 6th. Like they're just all over the place.
Yeah.
Or down to 8th, and then Faze has been 3rd, 1st, 3rd, 3rd.
Yeah.
It's like for that reason and their consistency, they got to be above those teams. So they fit right in the middle. Not at the peak of our Thieves and our OpTic, but better than the other teams below them.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. All right, that's all I got. You got anything else?
One more thing I want to say is I just want Faze, especially Simp, just bring back some vintage Cold War / Black Ops 4 stuff. Shoot some bodies, do whatever you gotta do. Be the villain at this point. I want him to start doing a lot better than he is.
Oh, think we might have lost you there for a second, Brock.
Hello?
There we go. We're good. I think we lost you for a second. Repeat what you were going to say. I don't know if the recording caught it, but you cut out for me.
Oh, did I? All right. I said I want Faze, especially Simp, just to go back to his Black Ops 4 / Cold War vintage himself. Shoot the bodies, be the villain.
Yeah. Just get a little attitude to him.
Yeah.
Get a little swag back to him.
Because that's what he's like. I think he's kind of missing. And if he has a bad map, he's kind of overthinking himself.
Yep.
That's
I agree. Just trying to make too many right plays. You're Simp. You are disgustingly talented. Just let your talent take over, basically.
Yeah. Just be free on the map. Maybe he's trying to play too correct, as we like to say.
Yep. Just get loose. You're Simp. You're You're more talented than almost everybody you're shooting against.
Yeah, it's just he's not just showcasing. He's kind of hindering himself out. You'd say.
Yep, I agree. So that's about all we got for this one.
Yep.
Wrap it up. Get the people out of here. We'll figure out what we're doing next week. It's gonna be a little different, obviously, because you have that that little break between the major and the start of the second stage. So we'll figure out what we want to do with that. And yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We really appreciate the support. As always, you guys are killing it. If you're watching on YouTube, not subbed, drop that sub. We want to hit that 1,000 mark before the end of the season. That's really the main goal right now. So we appreciate all the support. You guys have been killing it. It doesn't go unnoticed, and it keeps the motivation going. So we appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.